welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you here. Jesus, you have spent years in fintech and product leadership. You've worked at PayPal, Intuit, all the biggies in the finance world. And you have been a director of product at Stash. They're doing some exceptional innovation in the wealth management and portfolio management space. So glad to have you here on the podcast. Would love to hear your views on finance, product, and money in general. And do you want to introduce yourself to our audience? How long have you been in this industry? What brings you here?
Yes, and thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure for me. And as you well mentioned, I've been working in products for 60 years now. I cannot believe it now that I think about it. 16 years in product, and all my career has been pretty much in fintech. So I actually been building from like remittance systems to credit systems and all the way to wealth management systems. So yes, as you can say, I actually have a long story with money.
And let's start from the beginning. Like, I want to understand how, when you were young, you used to perceive money to now when you're a millennial, when you're in like almost your quarter age. I don't want to like reveal your age, but almost like at a milestone wherein
Yes.
life and finances are changing every day. How has your relationship evolved?
That's a great question. You know, I actually originally from Mexico.
I see.
And as you can see in Mexico, that we are still evolving in the financial education. So I come from a military family. So in my house, the priority was education and discipline. And of course, my aspirations for my family is like actually when I get to the age, I joined the Navy and I continue my career there. But instead of that, I decided to be an entrepreneur. So that changed totally my relationship with money because from being in the military where they were thinking more about like how actually we can grow in this career and have a stable future. I choose to be an entrepreneur, but pretty much I need to handle the money by myself. And I started getting involved with like what it means to actually to bring the money to the table, not only for me, but for the people who was working with me.
Wow.
So I think that's one of the beginnings, like how actually my relationship with money changed from being somebody who just wanted to get money to improve the situation to somebody who need to manage the money to be sure like he can grow with the people
Yep.
who he loves.
Yep. And managing money as a founder is the hardest. You are on
Right.
the one hand looking at everything about your company finance, while your personal finance definitely can take a backseat. Right? Like you're thinking about generating income and how to maintain that balance. How did you take all that in Mexico and then as you continued your journey here in US?
That's a great question because you basically hit the nail in the head. When I was growing up, I started as an entrepreneur when I was 18. When I was right in college, I created my first company. And in that moment, everything was about building something that we can actually grow. And later on, fast-tracking the story, when I sold my company and I moved to the States, right? I look back and I see like all the bad financial decisions that I did because I was focusing in how we can bring money to the table and how we can pay salaries. And how can I stay ahead for salaries for 6 months or 1 year?
We've all
So
been there.
my goal was we have a buffer, but there was no building wealth. And fast tracking the story and that later over the time coming to the state, my first cultural shock was actually the mentality that, for example, United States have about investing. Like, okay, it's not just about like getting money to the table or thinking about 1 to 2 years. You need to think about how you will get money over the next 10 to 30 years. And when do you want to retire? Which coming from Mexico, where we don't have like a culture of investment, right? There are some limited options. You think about that. Coming from Mexico, growing up in the 90s,
Yep.
we only have option to either invest in the real estate,
Yep.
right? Or invested in a business, right? Or basically invest in foreign investments, like put your money outside of the country. But the concept of stocks or the 401k, all these kind of things, there was no existence.
And you came here, you taught yourself all these concepts, and then you also joined fintech companies, which were like pioneers in understanding and making innovation in the finance space. How has your relationship and thinking and beliefs about money changed over time?
That's an excellent question. So I think my first shock when I was come to the States, that was the realization, of course, like my stock. When I sold my company, I liquidated, for example, my RSUs. Right? They become real money. So once that you get the real money, you work for this company for so many years, you need to pay taxes.
Yep.
So I think that was the first super painful experience.
Yep.
Like, okay, you build this company, yes, you get acquired, now you need to pay taxes and you need to figure out how actually make that money work for you. Now, the second thing was actually when I joined a public company like PayPal.
Yep.
So the experience to be a founder, to work in a public company,
Yes.
opened my eyes.
Yep.
Because you get RSUs, and in the RSUs, the company pay taxes for you.
Yep.
So you have liquid money. And to your point, they start to open my mind because I get this matching 401ks, right? And I get for free my insurance, my life insurance, and etc. So the number of financial artifacts that you get provided in all these public companies as a benefit is incredible.
Yep.
And of course, like everybody who's been a founder,
Yep.
probably you start your career as a founder and later on you join one of these companies is like literally an eye opener.
Yes.
If not, if you, for example, first join a company, you take this for granted. And this was my biggest advice for a lot of like people who start their career. I'm like, hey, if you will start a company, I would suggest you first go to a public company, join one of these public companies, right? So you learn the best practices, not just in the industry, but also what are you getting? Then you found a company because you will start to learn not only finance, but also best practice in your industry.
You mentioned taxes, you mentioned RSUs. Those are some things that often get complicated. Like we get questions around it all the time because RSUs are tied to stock price and they change every day. And your W-2 holds a constant amount in tax withholding.
Right.
So it's never optimal. You're either paying penalties or you're just not understanding what's going on. You don't know the optimization. Coming from Mexico and being a founder and then corporate US, that must have been like a very different experience. So how did you navigate your taxes, investments? What were the challenges you faced as you went through that journey?
That's an excellent question because it was actually indeed very painful. First, for the language. When I moved here, of course, like I had the English barrier.
Yep.
So the first thing I did was hiring a person who speaks Spanish. My CPA was somebody Spanish speaking, right? But unfortunately, I couldn't find somebody who was tech savvy. So there was a traditional accountant who normally was actually running some brick and mortar business. And she couldn't give me enough guidance about how actually things were like the best options, right? I think I get all the information that I needed later on in life when I joined PayPal. And this is like later when I was in the States, probably 3 years after that. I consider the first 3 years of my life in the United States as my learning curve, where I was like actually missing a bunch of opportunities in money. And even if I asked it, my mind was actually in the other side of the spectrum. I was thinking how I can be productive, how I can keep the performance to be in the States. Later, when I was at PayPal, I finally find an accountant who was more in the tech savvy, and I find these people through my network at PayPal.
Okay.
Right? So it's super important, your friends, right? Recommendations.
Yep.
And people who is basically in the same conditions as you, other tech people. So I was asking like people, hey, like, how do you guys lead with this? Like, how do you guys like balance? What is actually the best strategies, right? And they guide me in somebody who actually was working with them.
Okay.
And I had to get curious about those things because to your point, at the end of the day, in California specifically, we pay around like 30 to 40% of
Crazy amount.
taxes. So the high level question is always how we optimize for that, right? You can always like, yes, you can make more money. You will pay more taxes, right? But if you are smart enough, you actually like figuring out the ways that you can optimize your taxes, right? Not reduce your taxes, optimize your taxes.
Yes. Fast forward to today, like how do you do that? Like, do you have a CPA and a CFP? Do you do it on your own? How has taxes and investments evolved?
It's actually a fantastic question because you make me think a lot of how actually I've been changing for CPAs. The short answer is now I have a more specialized CPA. He is a friend of the family, right? He's been working with me and my wife. Now I'm married. We have more assets. Of course, we have more complicated taxes, right? And as a married couple with, for example, real estate, investments, like stocks, private investments, right? We need a little more help.
Yeah.
So took us some time, we find somebody who helped us to create a tax strategy.
Yeah.
And this person who helped us to create a tax strategy, he helped us holistically.
Yeah.
So we say three people who helping us. Because when I think in retrospective, originally it was just me and my paycheck.
Yep.
right? And probably my properties in Mexico are here.
Yep.
I can handle it. But as the time goes and you start to accumulate more assets, that becomes complicated. And of course, when you get married
Yep.
and you start to put in the assets of the family, not only yours,
Yep.
it is getting a little more complicated.
Yep.
So in this case, our CPA, which is a fantastic guy, he have a team and basically is our lawyer, the CPA, right? And of course, the tax assistants who helping us to build a strategy over the year, which is super important. This concept I learned actually into it. When I joined Intuit, actually I was working in business tax. I helped to bring business tax to life.
Okay.
And in that moment, I realized that how many people actually don't create the tax strategy, like multi-year tax strategies, right? So working in this environment, I get educated. And of course, when I review the tax strategy, we actually do this like multi-year tax strategy with my CPA.
Yep.
But I would say this is a particular case, right?
Yep.
Because now I have the knowledge and I have the contacts.
You have gone through this journey, right? Literally from not knowing the language, not knowing the rules, to today having multiple specialized services person working for you. So you, of course, get it that what works in this industry and what doesn't. What is it that those CPA did not get, or like any wealth manager for that matter who you've worked with? And what is it that the current CPAs get it for you? Like they just understand.
Excellent question. So I will tell you this thing. In all my years in industry, I hear this again and again. People complains that their CPA or their lawyer, etc., they don't have enough time for them.
Yep.
Basically to answer their questions or try to optimize this. You will find a bunch of stories. People say, hey, I think my lawyer could do better for me. You know, my CPA could do better for me. Or like, how come this guy is not replying my messages, not replying my questions? And the answer is very simple, because majority of these people, they are working for the calendar, for the tax calendar, right?
Yep.
So at the moment that we need to file taxes, they get super busy because probably they have a bunch of customers who need to handle the situation, right? And they don't have enough time to sit down with you and give you some advice or try to understand your situation, right? So over the years, I think the most important thing that I've been doing, like everything in life, is building a relationship, right? The person who know me. And the person who actually sit down with me to grab a coffee and understand my situation. And I can ask him questions about that. And that person come with a plan and with the strategies. But this doesn't happen in 1 day, 2 days, right? Which is actually the complaint of people, right? Like, I want my answers because we're used to instant feedback. An app, I will type the app, and I'm getting feedback. You need to do this with time. Maybe in the middle of the year, you hang out with your CPA and you talk like, hey, you know what? This year we have so much income, or we generate so much income, and how we can figure out what are the better strategies to offset this. Like,
it's a very important point that you bring up. Like AI has infiltrated the finance industry, and to make real revolution in wealth tech, they will need to do everything, but they cannot replace the relationship part of thing. Someone who understands me, someone who understands my behavior, someone who understands my preferences, and uses AI to give me proactive answers.
Right.
This is like the sort of angle that people need to really have those long-term relationships, because wealth managers, CPAs, they pass through generations. The kid might be using the same CPA that you have today, or you use your father's. Those relationships pass through, and they only do if you have that understanding.
Right. And I can tell you like interesting insight that I learned into it, launching this product. After interviewing like millions of people, millions of small business owners, and the tax situation, we find out that if they form a relationship with a CPA for 5 years, they will stick with that person for life.
Wow.
So this literally, you find somebody who help you with your taxes in a period of time, 3 to 5 years, most likely you stay with that person. And that becomes a multi-generational business. Because, you know, the CPAs pass the books to their kids. Right? Why? Because we are afraid of money. Right? So if that guy already know my situation, that already know how to do my taxes, why I would change with somebody else? Right? Even if I don't feel comfortable, even if I feel like this person is not doing the best for me, but he already is doing that, and I don't need to think about that. That's actually an interesting point.
This afraid nature around money, and that's
Yes.
very common. Like some people are shy to talk about it, some people are afraid to share how much they make or what is their actual situation, and that really is the foundation of that relationship. That you need to be comfortable with that person to be able to share everything with them. And the other side of the thing on the advisor side is that if you don't share everything with them, they cannot really help you. If you
Right.
just approach them in April to file your taxes, they cannot give you strategies and advisory around it.
You are right. There's another part of money. Like we have like a taboo culture about money. And I understand, like coming from Mexico, coming back again to that topic, coming from Mexico, like reveal how much money you were making, that could be dangerous.
Yes, yes, that's true.
You cannot reveal
Same
it.
in India. We've seen that. There is a logical taboo around that topic that you don't want to reveal.
Exactly. But you, for example, come here to Silicon Valley, right? And it's a normal conversation,
Yes.
right? You actually share how much you're making, and it's super crucial for you to continue
And
growing.
it's encouraged to get like the right sort of negotiation on the table. It's encouraged to be transparent around money.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
a very different outlook for sure.
And that thing actually opened my mind. Like, for example, understanding how much money I'm making, or I can make,
Yep.
and then be able to openly discuss this with my friends.
Yep.
And of course, with a professional.
Yes.
That changed my relationship with
Yes.
money.
And that's how you get to know, that's how you learn about how to optimize it, how to actually manage it. It's by talking about it or talking about it to people you're comfortable with, finding the right type of people, being in the right relationships. You chose to get to US SF from Mexico. Why that? Like, why not where else? Why not, I don't know, Europe or LA or New York? Why this city?
It's a good question. So my company was acquired by a company here in Silicon Valley, specifically in Sunnyvale.
I see.
And they bring me here to Sunnyvale.
Yep.
The start in Sunnyvale. And when I arrived here, I just feel like I was at home. Like there's so many good things about Bay Area. I'm a Bay Area fan. Like it's a diversity,
Yeah.
right? There's the openness.
Yeah.
Is the innovation. And I think in San Francisco, we are super optimistic. And of course, like, I'm not saying that in other part of the world they are not, but I can see after being here for more than 12 years and traveling in different cities in the world that I cannot find the same energy.
Yeah.
To your point, when my company got acquired, right, my best friend and co-founder, he actually moved to Europe, to Germany.
Ah, okay.
So we split it. Like when the company got acquired, and after we spent 2 years in the company who acquired us, we finished the paperwork. I was so happy to be in the culture here in San Francisco and so optimistic that I was telling him we should stay in San Francisco and let's find our next venture in San Francisco. But he had an opportunity to go to Europe. And he said, you know what? I want to go to Europe and let's do this. Whoever make the most of the money, bring the other person to the country. So I will go to Europe, to Hamburg, and explore my life there. And you stay in Silicon Valley and let's check over the time. And we help each other, right? Because we are best friends since college. So we have this relationship. We share everything, right? We share how much we are making, like how is the work relationship, like great relationship until nowadays. It's been like more than 20 years of friendship.
Yep.
And I can tell you over the years, because we sync up every 2 weeks to have some virtual coffee, I can see the culture is totally different. And our relationship with money is totally different. And until now, actually, he come to visit me, I think like 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, and I can see that he changed totally. From specifically not only for the money aspect, but also his personality changed.
I see.
Right. So meanwhile in Europe, people is more focused in being more human or more like wellness oriented,
Yep.
and specifically focusing more in the human rights. So they're thinking about like, hey, how I can actually have a better quality of life, right? How actually I can enjoy my time with my family, how I can protect myself as an individual.
Yep.
Yeah, I think in Silicon Valley, when in the United States, we're thinking the other side,
Yeah.
like how I can make more money,
Yeah.
how I can retire early,
Yeah.
how I can do more,
Yeah.
right? And that culture is later on reflected in the money you're making,
Yep.
right? In the way, for example, in the United States, probably we are more risky.
Yep.
And like, hey, I'll put my money in stocks.
Yep.
Versus in Europe, for example, my friend is like, I would rather to don't put my money in stocks. I don't know how the things go there, right?
Yep.
Maybe I'll put this in a saving account
Yep.
or something more like stable, like a real estate, right? Versus you will see people here, even you have a crypto
Yeah.
portfolio. If you don't have a crypto portfolio nowadays, right, you are not diversifying
You're not
enough.
That's true. That's true. And then a similar thing, because I had a short opportunity to live a few years in Europe and US, and I come from India. In India, people invest in gold and real estate, and in Europe, they're more like savings account, and here they're like much more open with their choices, much more diversified, much more experimental. Especially the city. The city is a city of dreamers. Like I've seen people in SF dream big, and if you're not dreaming big enough, you don't feel belonged.
I totally feel you, and this is what I love San Francisco. I think the energy that you see not only in creating things, but the optimism, right? Like, hey, I think we can do this, right? Or I think we should experiment.
And they end up doing it,
yes,
which is great.
The mindset, right?
Yes. If you dream, then you believe and you make it. This is great. I want to also double down on your experience in fintech and wealth space. And now there are like a lot of companies, startups coming in, which are trying to solve these problems we discussed. These problems around relationships with money, these problems around management, taxes, investments. So from your experience, what do you think is the biggest problem that they should be looking at, and how should they be looking at solving it?
Great question. And to your point, I think we are in the best moment in life to resolve fintech problems. And there's some couple of factors who benefit this. First, we are in the first time in history that we have an educated base of customers, digitally educated base of customers. So if we think, for example, 15 years ago, right? People were not comfortable to manage their finance in a computer. Why? Because all the taboo that we were talking.
Yep.
Finance were personal. Finance were only with my accountant. And put this in a Google Doc, they will feel unsafe.
Yes.
However, nowadays, we trust in the cloud. Right? We trust in applications that actually maintain the information. And for the new generation, this is trivial. Like, hey, I have my bank in my phone, and I have my investments in my phone, and I actually even making money, and people is paying me in my phone. So coming back again, first, I think we are in this part where we have a good base who actually is educated
of believers in
technology. The second thing is like, especially if in the United States, we have a base of customers who are not living paycheck by paycheck. Yeah, this is controversial. I understand that in the world and in the United States, we have a lot of people who still live in paycheck by paycheck. But the numbers are growing of people who actually have savings. They have a 401k, and one set of investment, right? So, for example, in Mexico, we're still having people who don't have 401k or the concept of 401k.
Or retirement, savings at all,
But in the United States, we are actually normalizing these things, right? So you are working in a company and you will have a 401k and you will have some salary, you have some benefits, right? And all these things at the end of the day, right, is helping you to start to building wealth. So you're going to start from zero. And I think the third thing, we actually get more educated in the benefits, right? So not only digital, but education in benefit, what that means. In the United States specifically, we have all these concepts of like what is a credit score and how credit score is actually helping you at the moment that you're born. Or we see, for example, with the new Trump accounts, at the moment that you're born, you have an investment account and we can put money in the investment account. So we're in this moment where assets are there and they're digitalized and we have people who are able to consume it. Now, to your point, what is the critical problem is how we tie this in the awareness or keep it present and optimize it. And let me break it down because probably it sounds like a lot. So as today, we are fighting with attention. We are so busy consuming social media, consuming news, So the biggest question is like, how do I know how much money do I have? Right? So yes, I have a 401k, Jesus. Yes, Jesus, I have these benefits. I have this saving account and I start invested. Right? I'm using this Wealthfront Stash or whatever application to start investing in Robinhood. But how much money really I have? Now, how I can optimize it? Like now I have all this money, how I can do the best of that? What are the best decisions I can take? And some of these kind of things could be so overwhelming that we prefer to think in another thing, right? To your point, like, okay, the end of the year is coming. I'm so focused in keep making money. I'm so focused to put money in Robinhood. And then, boom, I get bombarded with these taxes. I'm like, oh, now Why didn't see this coming? So being aware, right? and have actually the way to optimize so clearly identified, I think is the biggest opportunity. The person who helping us to build this habit, to this automatically for us, and in a brief way, they'll be the winner.
And to that point, multiple more tailwinds, of course. We cannot deny AI and the belief of people in AI. We cannot deny the great wealth transfer. Like baby boomers are retiring and Gen X and millennials are getting more richer. So this problem and this money which comes with problems is going to only increase.
Yes.
So how do you see these tailwinds and how can technology or companies leverage that to solve this problem today?
Great question. I think we are also, I'm sorry I repeat this, I think we are in the best time in history also because the technology are right to the point that the technology can do a lot of things, a lot of these things for us. We don't have the time, but fortunately enough, we have technology who can help in us, right? And as I mentioned, probably the most difficult part is like bringing it to the awareness to the person in a way that is digestible to take the decisions. You mentioned a couple of things that are super important. The silver wave, which pretty much is like we have all this generational wealth who will be passing from all the, I think it's Gen X, no. Baby boomers will passing us to the Gen X or to the Gen Z, millennials. And we have, for example, all these houses. And to your point, wealth is about three things. How you can really manage your debt, how you can optimize your existing assets, and how you can protect the assets. And people are probably thinking right now, right now I'm in the first one. I can only figure out if I can manage my debt, yes or no, how I can manage my credit cards, right? The second one is like, okay, how I can optimize my assets? Like, okay, where I put the money that I already have, how I can optimize my investments. And sometimes the third one is the one we've forgotten, to your point, how we can protect our assets.
Which is the most important thing.
Right.
And I mean, like, this is a growing concern wherein people are not looking to make alpha only anymore. They want to protect their wealth and they're starting to think about protecting what they have built. They worked so hard to build that RSU, that equity, that different type of wealth that they have today, investments in crypto, and they're thinking about it. But how do I protect it and not like give away all in market slowdown or taxes, and how to be upfront and proactive about it.
Right. And I think it's a scary topic too. Like talking with the people in industry, we can see like the third one probably is one of the biggest opportunities, right? Because people normally ignore it for two reasons. One could be because they are not aware of the ways that they can protect it. Or the second one, because they don't want to talk about it, right? Protecting is scary. Why? Because there's probably scenarios that you don't want probably to check. Like, for example, death. What happened when I'm not here? What happened like when something happens to me? Or unfavorable situations. What happened if a change in my life happens, right? Could be like a divorce. I'm passing for a divorce. Or I lost somebody who was very dear to me. Or unfortunately, I lost my job. So all these unfavorable situations, right, happens and they can affect your wealth. And we need to protect them. To your point, it's another interesting factor. Probably you know this, more than 80% of the people doesn't have a trust. I want to say 80% of the population who have a house doesn't have a trust. And what that means for us, that we are about to see one of the biggest waves where like people
don't know what to,
will enter in a probate. And this is another interesting factor. When you enter in a probate, you will spend 30% of the value of your assets in the legal courts.
Wow.
So this is a big problem.
And this is something that even I realized really late in my career. Like when I was starting off, my focus was also like build wealth, work, get money, get a better job, even more money, but protecting it only came to picture when I started thinking about management of wealth, not just taxes, but also estate, trust, insurance, and investments in general. And I think like we've all in tech been guilty about it, not talking to the right people or not thinking enough about managing wealth or preserving wealth. How has your experience been? Like, have you talked to wealth managers in your life? Or are you working with one today? If not, then why not? And if yes, how has the experience been?
That's a great question. I think like I did this very intentional working in fintech. So the reason why I started working in fintech is because, as I told you, I come from a background where I was a founder, and in some moment I realized like, hey, I need to manage money for my loved ones. And my loved ones in the moment were the people who were working with me, and of course my family members. And since that moment, I realized that like I have a big gap in knowledge. And the only way that I find out to close the gap was working in something that forced me to learn more.
Yeah, I see. That's a good approach.
And I was like, okay, if I would really want to learn about finance and how to preserve wealth, and I should be working in something related to that matters, right? And I know for some people it won't be sexy, but for me, that was actually amazing. For example, when I passed from my startup, we were building like a payment system for small business owners. And then later on in life, I joined to PayPal. PayPal in the moment, the mission of PayPal was democratizing financial wellness. And I get obsessed with that. Like what it really means financial wellness. And I can tell you, financial wellness at the end of the day is don't live paycheck by paycheck. And that was a core philosophy of PayPal. And when I was working there, I absorbed as much as I could, right? And literally, like how actually we can stop living paycheck by paycheck. So when I started working in wealth management, and my next question in my career was like, okay, how I can optimize my investments, how I can make more money of my money. But my biggest surprise, to your point, that was the working in wealth management didn't answer just that question, but helped me to understand the other question. It was like, oh, first I need to protect what I have before I can optimize it, what I have, right? And the universe started to expand it. That one, and also the fact that you become older and with more responsibilities.
Yep. You think about it more.
You think about it, yes. In my case, it becomes like as the older kid in my family, the older son, and you take care of my parents and also my wife's parents. And that become a big responsibility. And I start thinking about all these kind of things. I start to see the life in the other side. Like, okay, what happened when somebody passed? Like, what happened when somebody need to take responsibility as a family? Because at the end of the day, your family is your company. Right? You work to your point. You work all these years, right? And you have all these assets. And you want to ensure that your kids and the kids of your kids, right, keep the assets. And I think that's when I actually start like putting all these things together. So I'm a nerd, as you can see. I'm a nerd in this part, but as you say, like it's the new money questions, because I think all these questions were already resolved for the old money people, right? And I'm not saying that it's bad. It's just like they were fortunate enough to have somebody who already
could walk them through this and like really solve this for them. And the new money people, we're lost.
Exactly. We don't have the basis. And the more that I actually dig in these topics, the more that I appreciate how actually some families can preserve wealth. Because somebody in that family was smart enough to set up the foundations. Like, you know what? We will protect our assets. We will actually set up like a foundational part, like how we manage budget, how we leverage debt, how actually we manage our investments. And I would teach my kids. And coming back again to United States, you can see this in a lot of American people. The kids, for example, they have like credit card as a kid. So when they grow up, they already have credit score. Right? Or their kids, since they're born, they can buy some of the bonds to help them later in life to go to college. Right? And all these kind of things that probably people like you and me, we didn't know that existed. Because we come from another countries where the financial base was not stable or not like as mature.
If I were to ask you one thing that could really solve, like one insight into your money or one piece of advice into your money that a wealth management platform or a wealth manager himself or herself can give you, what is the core advice that you need the most frequently?
That's a very good question. Where I can put my money to make more money.
I see.
That's probably one of the biggest in this stage of my life. Right? So you have $10. Extra $10. Where I can put that $10 so I generate passive income for those $10. And as today we have many options. There could be, you can put it in this private investment. You can put it in these public investments. You can put it in these crypto risky investments, et cetera, right? Or even, for example, you can use that $10, right? And you can use it to save you money in the future. Like you put in a tax strategy to help you at the end of the year. So I think that's a
way to put it.
Where to put the money.
And it shouldn't be generic. It should understand you. Like knowing you and your income and your salary and your family needs and your preferences, where to put that $10.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day, I think that's what people are looking for first. Like, and of course, like, what are the risks? But it's a secondary question, right?
Yeah.
They should be the first. But I think, like, as today, people have extra money. Where I should put that extra money to make my money, then how I can protect that.
Yep.
Right. And to your point, right now, I'm a nerd also in that kind of things. I have all the applications. I have Origin. I have, what is this other one? Monarch. I have,
You must have stash.
yeah, of course, I have a stash, Robinhood, all the investments. But all this Kubera, I have Kubera to manage. I love Kubera to manage things with my wife, right? So, but majority of those things is to helping us to be in the same page, right? And we also use the platform that my accountant have. He has his own platform, so we use the platform to communicate with him.
Oh wow! But how do you manage all these? Like, there are too many to handle.
Good question. I think neither of them do a good job to unify your finance. So I use it for a specific job to be done.
I see.
For example, we use Kubera to see our assets, to see like how much we have, how much we're winning, how much we're losing. We use the platform of my accountant to understand what actually are the strategies that could help us to protect our wealth. And I use Monarch and Origin to check my budget and to check, for example, my investment decisions.
Like, who do you go to today to ask this question? Where should I be putting my money? Like, who is your go-to? Is this one of these apps or a person, or what is it?
That's a good question. Yes, there are multiple sources of information. I ask my friends where they're investing, right? I check the news, but mostly I think it's important, like talking with your friends, the people who also are investing,
who have similar problems.
Exactly. But I would love to. I think that I would love to assist them. Tell me, Jesus, I detected an opportunity here. Like,
and this is what you should do.
You should be doing this thing, right?
Interesting.
You actually bring in a very good point. At my time working at Stash, right? As you mentioned, I was working as a director of growth at Stash. This is the biggest insight that I get.
Yep.
People in life normally don't like that somebody else told them what to do.
Yep.
But when it comes in money, people want to know what they should be doing. People want to be told why they should be doing that. And how this translates in a company like the investment company is pretty much helping you to understand where to invest to get the better return for yourself. So people don't want to choose one specific stock. People want to understand, like, hey, if I put my money with you, if I put you $10 here, you guys are helping me to get 5, 10%, 20%. I just need to know you guys are helping me to make more money.
And let me do it. Like, people are DIY, they want to do it, but they just want to be told the right way. And some system that can look at everything and tell them the right thing to do. There's so many things to look at because your money is everywhere. And then so many rules, like tax rules are changing, and then investment, of course, changes, and so many things happening. It's a very volatile world that we live in. So being told, and someone who works in collaboration with you, is the key to win here. Anything you'd like to add on that?
All these companies go to the same pitfall. Like, they don't really see the complete picture of you, and then they tell you, like, hey, this is the opportunity, right? And I think in certain part, it's also like the same fear that we have as humans to share everything with somebody. Right? That's, to your point, coming back again to what is a wealth manager. I think that's the stronger part of have a wealth manager advisor, right? So that person have the relationship with you. And probably he won't get all the information in the first contact, but he will build his knowledge base over the time with you.
So we will be wrapping up, but before wrapping up, I have one question. So we talked about money a lot, and a lot that has changed over time as your life evolved and as money evolved. What has stayed constant? What is one belief about money that has stayed constant for you throughout?
Good question. I always been thinking that money is a tool, and that tool is helping us to have a better life, right? So money is something that will help us. Yes, money is not happiness, but money can help us to basically resolve what happened with our stress, with probably some of our financial problems, or have some peace of mind. So
money is not every point of happiness, but money is definitely happiness. Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting. Thank you so much for being on the show. This was very helpful. Lovely chatting with you.
Pleasure.
And always a pleasure to talk.
Thank you so much.